All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Rolling Thoughts podcast. I am your host, Colt. I had another idea. I don't know how well this is going to be received, but my focus with this podcast was honestly to just kind of do whatever my creative mind came up with, or maybe some would argue my lack of creative energy. My mind. Maybe I'm not that creative. I don't know. Either way, I just watched a couple podcasts, and it, re-inspired me, or reinvigorated me to jump in and do another episode here. And I actually do have one episode in the works, but I did decide to put it on hold, mainly for my own reasons. It'll be out, I hope, within the next week. I'd be super happy, because I think that's going to be a really cool, I think it's being a really cool podcast. And again, if you're watching on my YouTube channel at the Roman Colt, I think it'll be a fun one there too. But anyway, today's episode is, we're going to see how this one goes. So past episodes I've had, I talk about just topics that whatever I want to talk about. And I tried for the Christmas, my first Christmas episode, we did an underrated, overrated on just Christmas stuff, right? And then I played out another scenario of like who would win in a fight. And then the most recent episode was put up on January 15th. It was the 1-5-10 challenge. I basically put a whole bunch of random topics into a hat, and I pulled them out, and then I pulled out how long I was going to talk about them. And that one was a fun one, and I think I am going to continue doing that. I'm also going to do the overrated, underrated. I'm going to continue with those. That, again, I have a lot of fun with it, so I hope you guys enjoy listening to them. If you don't, definitely reach out to me on like Twitter or, I don't know, social media, anywhere. And just let me know what you do and don't like. Shout out to one of my very dear friends for commenting on my Twitter post. I basically asked you guys on Twitter, I said, hey, if you guys wouldn't mind commenting just a random word, topic, term, something, I'd like to feature that on my next overrated, underrated. And that was, I posted that up on January 18th. And so I've only got my main homie on there that put his word up there. So it will come. If I don't get any more words, we know that I'll just come up with them on my own. But that will be an upcoming episode as well. Another overrated, underrated. But I had an idea about another episode, so we're gonna give it a shot today. We'll see how it goes. So let's get started. Here's what I did. I kind of took inspiration from the 1-5-10 challenge, and I'm also trying to challenge myself, because I have a tendency to ramble on and on and on about things way longer than anybody needs to. So for this challenge, I have taken a bunch of random words that I wrote down on a sheet of paper, and I'm gonna do the same thing as I did with the 1-5-10 challenge. I'm gonna tear off each little sheet, throw it in the hat, and pull them out, and I'll tell you what I'm gonna do at that point. But as I'm tearing these off, I do want to say that what you guys might find on these pieces of paper. Okay, here was my thought process. I'll tell you the first word. Okay, I'll tell you the first word. Maybe I'll tell you the last word. The first word, and I honestly don't know where it came from, but when I put pen to paper, the first word I thought of was pickle. Okay, and so my thought process was, I said, I'm just gonna let like creative juices flow, and whatever word I think of after the previous word I just wrote down, that is what I'm going to write. So we're going to see maybe the most random series of words or concepts or terms or people or whatever ever. But that's just a little bit of rationale behind what we're getting ourselves into. Like I said, started with the word pickle and I went all the way down the sheet of paper. And yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you once we get this done, what we're going to do with it. But again, I'm not going to limit myself with this podcast. Because you never know. I mean, you never know what might get people's interest, right? You never know what will be or what could be interesting content for listeners or viewers or readers, right? So yeah, that's kind of my belief with this podcast is I'm just going to let it flow, and whatever we get from it is what we get from it. One thing I do just want to throw out there for you guys before, as I'm closing in on my last maybe 6 or 7 pieces of paper here. If you haven't already, I would appreciate it if maybe you just did me a solid and shared this podcast with one other person you know. One thing that's really cool about doing this through Spotify's podcasting tool called Anchor is it shows me some cool like metrics or statistics on or data on listeners. Now, I'm not going to have like your name or where you live or anything like that, but it does show me some cool things, like how many times or how many plays I have of a podcast or of an episode, what my estimated audience is. And it's just cool to kind of follow along with that. But one interesting thing that I see is I can see who's listening from Spotify or listening from Anchor. I can see what country you're from. So that's kind of cool. I know I have some friends in international places. So I'd be stoked if you shared it. And I don't know. I just think it would be cool if you're watching this here on YouTube, you'll see my little graph, my infograph here of the countries that of people that have listened to this podcast. And I just think it would be cool to fill that up with different countries. And then I can also tell like how old you are too. I have no idea how that works. My guess is like maybe when you filled out like Spotify, like your account for Spotify, maybe you like put your age or your like a age range in there or something. But yeah, I can see most of my listeners are between the ages of 23 and 34. So that's something. I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Again, just if you like it, if you just want to do your good deed for the day, just share this with somebody else. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I've got my random words in my hat here, and this could be very hit or miss. I'm gonna pull each one out, and in one word, I'm gonna give you my opinion on whatever I pull out of here. One word, okay? Oh my Lord. And then I almost tossed them all out of the hat. So, okay. My one word opinions. Here we go. Maybe that's what I'll title this episode. One word opinions. First one, zippered pockets. Zippered pockets. My one word opinion. Zippered pockets. Dangerous. Next word, Netflix price increase. Oh, I've got 2 words that I want to use for this. Okay, but I can't. One word opinion. Netflix price increase. Savage. I'm not giving any explanations either, by the way. Okay. So maybe on a different episode I might, but for this first one of my one word opinions, not going to happen. If there's any chance that, if I have any former students of mine that are listening to this, first off, thank you. I hope you guys are doing well. But and for those that have never been a student of mine, I'll share with you this. When I was teaching, I refused to give my students my opinion on anything. I was a firm believer, still am. I believe that as a teacher, I'm in no position to attempt to influence or shape a student's opinion. So regardless of what it might be, I would just give them, I would present facts. If I felt, if there was like maybe a groupthink mentality going on with the class, I would of course play devil's advocate, but I always, made the disclaimer that I was doing that just to show them different opposing views and consider different trains of thought and things like that. So long story short, if you are a former student of mine, enjoy this episode because I'm finally giving you my opinion, but it's in the form of one word opinions. So next one, the space button or the space bar, like on your keyboard. Instrumental. Next word, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal. I hope this episode doesn't have too much dead air because like I said, like I know what I wrote down, but to be honest with you, like I literally wrote it down right before I hit record here. So I'm only remembering what I wrote as soon as I read it again myself, but I literally have not given this any thought whatsoever. Maybe I should have done that beforehand, but one word opinion on Shaquille O'Neal, entrepreneurial. Okay. Next word, Texas Hold'em. If you aren't familiar with what Texas Hold'em is it's essentially like a version of poker. Okay, card game. Texas Hold'em. Dangerous. Oh, dropped one. I'll pick that one up. MySpace. Okay. Depending, like I just said, the age of most listeners here, 23 to 34, we probably know what MySpace is, or we can recall what MySpace is. But for you younger listeners, MySpace was like, think of MySpace as Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, all in one, and way before it got cool. Okay. MySpace was my one word opinion. Original. All right. Next one. Catch up. One word opinion, Colt. You can't say any more. Okay. One word opinion. Gross. Dang. Okay, pocket squares. I'm glad we're moving on from ketchup. Pocket squares. Timeless. Amusement parks. Pass. My one word opinion on amusement parks is pass. Domino's. Okay, Domino's pizza. What is a one word that I'm trying to think of? Because I can think, the problem with me setting this like restriction is that I literally can only use one word to describe it or give you my opinion or my thought on it. Because there's been a couple where I want to say even like two words or just a short little phrase because I feel like that encompasses it better. But hey, creative challenge. Here we go. So one word opinion on Domino's. This is an interesting exercise. Domino's pizza, one word. And what I'm doing right now is I'm trying my best not to verbalize what's going on in my head in order to get to my one word. And that's the challenge right now, because I want to walk through with you out loud what my thought process is, nope, we're just going one word opinion. So Domino's pizza, and I'm not saying Domino's just their pizza. I'm talking about Domino's, the company, everything they offer. Okay. Domino's. 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 Stability. Domino's stability. This is actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. Okay. Next one. Cell phones. Trapped. Cell phones. My one word opinion, trapped. Palm trees. Okay. Palm trees. Relaxed. Bugs Bunny. I told you this was random, right? But literally, like I said, the first word I wrote was pickles, and I just next thing that came to my mind, that's what I wrote. So we are now at Bugs Bunny. Missing. Bugs Bunny. SpongeBob. Annoying. California. Headache. California, headache. Mr. Beast. Inspiring. Mr. Beast. If you don't know who that is, just check him out on YouTube. Okay. Next word, sand. Irritating. Yeah, I can't go back. That's the word that came to my mind. So that's what I'm going to go with. Inflation. Underestimated. Inflation, underestimated. Okay. Next word. My mind's weird. Train rides. Next thing I drew out of the hat was train rides. Different. Okay. Pina colada. Tempting. Okay. Pina colada, tempting. Cable TV. Retro. Cable TV, retro. Katy Perry. Katy Perry. Solid. Okay, that's what I'll say. Oh, here we go. Pickles. What is the term I'm thinking of? Pickles, one word opinion. Like, that's not the word I'm thinking of. It keeps coming to my mind, so I'm just gonna say pickles, universal. Okay, take that how you will. Pickles, universal. All right. 2 left, you guys. 2 left. Surfing. Admirable. Surfing admirable. Okay. And what do we have here? Logan Paul. Attention. There. That's what I'll do. Okay, you guys, that was it. That was interesting to play out with my own thought process, giving myself the challenge of using only one word to try to shape an opinion on it. So yeah, that's my one word opinion on a whole bunch of random stuff. I really want to like double back and go into more of that, but you know, I guess if you really want to know why I said solid for Katy Perry or attention for Logan Paul or universal for Pickles or any of the other ones, you're going to have to reach out to me. You can, you know, comment. If you're watching on YouTube, go to the comment section. I'd love to have a conversation or dialogue with you. Feel free right there on Twitter at the Roman Colt. Tweet at me and be like, dude, what were you talking about with Bugs Bunny? Because again, this is a challenge for me and it was definitely an interesting one. So yeah, I don't know. This was like I said, I'm not really going to restrict myself to what I will or won't do on here. To be honest though, you know, before we close up here, one thing that I'm hoping I can do. I've been watching certain YouTubers, and I'm not going to name any names of any of this, but I've been watching certain YouTubers and listening to certain podcasts where people are, it appears that they're being themselves, right? Not really filtering their thoughts, opinions, what they're saying. They're voicing what they think. And I take so much, like, I have a lot of admiration and respect for those people, because that's really what I would like to see out of this podcast. Like, I'm telling you that I don't want to put any creative restrictions on this podcast, because, like, if you go to theromancult.com, like, I'm trying to keep it like travel related. And you might see like this most recent post here being worst state for a zombie apocalypse. And you're like, well, what does that have to do with travel? And I just played the card of like, well, you can travel to these states, can't you? But my point is like that website, it's pretty focused, right? My YouTube channel, I'm really opening up now basically to like whatever interests me. It started out solely as like a travel vlogging channel, and now I've understood that like if that's what I'm going to restrict it to, my creative ambitions aren't always aligned with that. So that's why I'm really kind of opening it up, putting the podcasts on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm trying to let it be a little bit more open. But my original intention with this podcast was to let whatever happens, and whatever it's going to turn into is what it's going to turn into. And so I guess what I'm getting at is, watching certain YouTubers and listening to certain podcasters, how they're just being very authentic and raw. I hope to get to that point. I can admit that I'm not there, because I'm still not 100% comfortable sharing, like, in terms of politics and stuff, really where I stand. I wouldn't even say stand, because I don't, that's a whole nother story. But I'm basically just getting at just embrace who you are, what your beliefs are, and it's okay for those things to change, right? And to watch some of these YouTubers and listen to some of these podcasts that aren't afraid to stand out in a way that they're standing out because they're being who they are or being true to themselves. I don't know. I find that pretty inspirational, and hopefully I can continue to do that with this podcast, because like I said, I told myself that this one's going to be whatever it ends up becoming is what it's going to become. And I think a lot of those content creators help kind of motivate me to keep just pushing the envelope with what I'm doing on this podcast. Because like I said, I mean, I literally did not think this whole one word opinion idea, it came into my head like 10 minutes before this recording. So, maybe in times past, especially like with my travel videos, back when I was doing that on YouTube, I was very like particular and structured in my approach and what I was going to do, and things like that. And I feel like that kind of held me back from doing a lot more content creation as a channel. And so that's where I'm just kind of letting whatever happens on this podcast, because literally came up with the idea, and I just said, you know what, let's not even have time to think about it. Let's not have time to question it or think, oh, this is a dumb idea, or this isn't a good, nobody's going to find this interesting. We're just going to go for it. And so that is what brings us this first episode of my one word thoughts, or my one word opinion. And so, yeah, I guess, signing off here. If anybody's interested, if anybody wants to be on this podcast, let me know, because that is another thing that I'm looking at. In these initial episodes, I'm kind of getting a feel for what's fun for me and what is interesting, in terms of like things that I'm not seeing elsewhere or hearing on other podcasts. And so for me personally, I like the overrated, underrated. I really enjoyed the 1-5-10 challenge. And honestly, I can see this one word opinion expanding. But there's also another thing that, I'll just share with you guys here. And I don't have the largest audience right now, and that's fine. That's okay. So that's why I want to share it with you guys, because if you are listening, I really, really do appreciate it. But if you want to be on the podcast, let me know, because I have an idea that I want to do. I don't even know if you want to call them interviews or conversations, but I want to have people on the podcast where I ask them certain questions. Okay. I'm not going to get into too much, because that's still a work in progress, but I do have an idea for having guests on. So if you're interested, let me know. And if not, and you just like, listening to me while you're working out, or I don't know, laying on your bed and procrastinating from doing whatever real life adult duty that you have to do, that's fine too. I appreciate that. All right. Anyway, until the next episode, I am the one, the only host of the Roaming Thoughts podcast, Colt. Thank you guys for listening. And until next episode, bye.